got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though.
He's neck and neck with Lewis Hamilton. Vettel's alongside and ahead. Look at that! How's that? A colossal that's backside. Is the opportunity inside as well. Hamilton's going to try again. This time on the inside and comes an inside. Oh my goodness, this is fantastic.
What's up, shaggers? Welcome back to TOTL. It is time to get our race on again, this time in Austria. One of the shortest tracks on the game, with the shortest lap time in the game at the very least, of a 1 minute something or other, like low 1 minutes in qualifying. And a lot of laps to be done here as well. Track limits, always fun. Always a laugh when we get this race pop up. It's provided some good racing in the past in TOTL. But there obviously have been some strong contenders for that historically in this league. Anyway, 15 drivers today. We initially were supposed to have some good numbers, but I think because the Premier League's on and some people have decided it's too warm to race, they've gone and not wanted to race today. So here we are. Anyway, we will be getting into it when the first driver leaves the garage. How is everybody? Had a good week, everyone? I certainly hope so. Rufus Boffers. Rufus, yes, that's me, mate. Back to you in the studio, shaggers. Good vibes, of course, mate. Of course. Got to have the good vibes here. I'm on the red wine. I understand it's probably a little bit warm for that for most people. Most people will be on the beer by now, or the G&Ts. For me, I'm on the red wine. So, who's going to be on that pack tonight? Well, Randall, of course, first man out on track. Ever the eager beaver to get out on that racetrack, but we'll see whether it's going to bode well for him today as to whether he's going to get a good result. Last time out in Bahrain, it was a little bit sketchy for him. Just wanging it around, all in one gear. I'm going to turn my fan on quickly. I'm kind of warm. You shouldn't be able to hear it. It should be fine for everybody. If you can hear it, type in chat, and I won't do anything about it because my comfort is more important than your auditory experience. Anyway, Randall starting his first flying lap. The first man to set a lap time here in Austria. First turn looks good. I think he probably could have cut a little bit more of the inside of turn one, but either way, it's not looking too terrible at this stage for him. as he's going to wang it in on the right at the top of the hill. Turn 3, a little bit squirrely on exit. Arguably could have used a little bit more of the curb to try and gain some traction there as well, but squared the corner off anyway. Fastest way through that corner at turn 3 is actually to slide through it. Anyway, now down to turn 4. Very long radius. All good to keep the car nice and pinned as long as you don't get on towards the gravel on exit. Now through the kink, turn 6 and 7. Raikkonen has left the session. Don't let that fool you. He's probably going to be back in a second. Anyway, looking good here for Randall. Track limits, not a problem. Probably had a little bit more margin there in turn 8 as well. But now, fast flick right of turn 9 actually sets the corner up really, really well there, Randall. Out on the curb for the entrance and then keeps it tidy on the exit of turn 10. Probably had a little bit more margin in that one too, but it still looks like a tidy lap and a respectable first time to go onto the board here. Let's have a look at Burnsy. He's out on track on mediums for some reason. Getting himself dialed in, I suppose. We'll see if this ends up coming to anything here. I can't imagine it's really going to be a particularly potent lap on the medium tyres. Robbie Bell goes 0.4 of a second faster than Randall with his first flying lap. That is a 104.6. Across the line goes Edsters as well, just behind with another 104.6. So the Red Bulls in tandem today. Edster's already doing a better job than Checo Perez. Miller comes through with a 5 dead. That is on pace with Randall, something I didn't think I'd be saying at the start of this season. What about Bilal Khan? My boy is on a flyer. He has won every race this season so far, and it's a purple Sector 1. Let's see if he can continue to extend that championship lead and the good form that he's had so far this season with another stonking qualifying result here. I dare say he's going to have a really good run of things. Around the outside of one of the Alpha Tauris there in turn 4. Through the kink at turn 5, barely even a corner. Turn 6 looks like he had to make a slight correction mid-corner, but it doesn't look like it's affected him too much. Loadsy with an absolutely stellar lap of a 4.2. That's going to be a nice wall to chase down for Khan here. I think that middle sector might have just been a tad scrappy, despite the fact that it was purple. Anyway, down to the front, the front straight, run to the line. It's a 5.02 for Khan. That is probably not what we expected. Must have had a little mistake there in the final sector, because if the middle sector was to be believed, that should have been right on the money. Anyway, for Jay Rasta, he's apparently right on the money here as well. He's been very consistent so far this season. Not really been featuring too much in many of the battles, but has always just been managing to sneak a podium for himself out of it somewhere. And in this final sector, he's purple in the second. Can he make it and continue that form on the run to the line? No, again, loses the time in the same way that Khan did. A 0.5040. A lot of times with the 105 flat category, and yet still Randall is the fastest of all those guys in that bracket for now. Currently, we've got a lap being done from AJ. Never mind, that's an invalid lap being done from AJ. He's going slowly on that set of softs in order to try and guarantee them to go for another lap, or at least be good for another lap. Ryan Crow, who has some connectivity issues, is now getting his lap started. Of course, both times that Ryan has raced with us this season in TOTL, it's been a solid podium result for the guy. So let's see whether he can translate that into the same streak here in Austria at round 5. We're halfway through the season, if you can believe it. Let's see what Ryan's got for us on this lap of the Red Bull Ring. Already up towards turn 3. Lots of curb taken on the entrance. He's kept that very straight and narrow. I have heard that the best way to take that is to try and slide the car through it and stretch it as it comes out of the corner to try and get the power down as best as you can. Anyway, into turn 4. Takes a bit of inside curb and doesn't even chance the exit curb there. Looks like a very safe lap here from Ryan Crowhurst. We'll see whether it continues now into turn 6. That's a bit better. A little bit more committed, but still not on the edge like I've seen him be before. Again there, turn 7, turn 8. Lots of margin being left on the track. And now he needs to stretch the car out to the left-hand side of the track here for turn 9. Again, not using all the track available to him on the exit and the entrance. Turn 10, a little bit more committed there from Ryan. And we'll see what this time gets him as he goes to the line. It's going to be second place. I definitely feel that Ryan's got some more time in the track there, if he can just commit to a few of those corners in the middle sector a bit more. But that looked good from Ryan, and seemingly so, as Crowhurst has managed to slot himself in behind his teammate Loadman in P2. For now, it's an Alfa Romeo front row lockout Meanwhile, Adam Lockett on a lap here. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. Up to turn 3. Traction. So difficult to find at the top of that hill, but looks like Lockett's managed to get a decent run of things here. Now down to turn 4. Let's hope he doesn't get caught up in too much traffic. That's a McLaren out ahead of him. It could be Khan or Joshua Johnson, both of them out on their outlaps at the moment, but pushing, it seems, with this McLaren out front. Anyway, Fazer, not going to let that distract him. Gets the car pinned into the apex there at turn 6. The McLaren gets out of his way before turns 7 and 8. Very nice, using a lot of runoff on the curve there, but not an invalidation, so still a solidly clean lap so far for Adam, as he now tries and throws it right. Probably could have been a bit more committed there as well, and then a bit tentative on the steering wheel into turn 10, almost straight-lined it over the curb. It's still a solid lap time, but again, I haven't quite seen a really perfect lap of this Red Bull Ring just yet. So we'll see now whether Bilal Khan can put it together for us. Your championship leader, the man to beat, the one with a target on his back this race. Surely someone's going to try and take that throne from him. He's got to try and take a race win away from Bilal Khan, but he's 2.5 tenths of a second up through the first sector, has 2 stabs at the turn in towards turn 3. That didn't look too pretty. We'll see how it's going to be as he comes into the second sector now. Turn 4, DRS wide open as he comes into the braking zone, slams on those brakes and tries and pins the car into the apex, but I fear, as I switch to the onboard, that he might have been a bit wide of the apex there at turn 4. We'll see whether it's going to be the same here at turn 6. No, he's got it pinned in nicely, but the wheel's not... What's that McLaren up to on the exit there? Anyway, 3.5 tenths of a second up here for Bilal Khan. It won't be enough to put him on the front row at present, but we already know there's a lot of time for him in this final sector. Let's see if he can find it. Very committed on the inside curb, but I think he might have been too committed. I think the car bottomed out over the curb, and as such, I think he lost a lot of momentum through turn 9 there, and you can see it's reflected in the lap time. He absolutely did. A little bit too much turn-in for Bilal on the entrance to turn 9. And again, his second lap in qualifying here, not going to be great. EOJ comes in with a really respectable lap time to hit into P2. That is just a couple of hundredths of a second faster than Ryan Crowhurst. Johnny Nicholson has actually just slotted it into P4 as well. Unbeknownst to me, he's managed to slide it in there ahead of the 2 Red Bulls. So that's a really solid start for the reserve driver. Had a week off last week. Hope he enjoyed his time away, but back in the reserve seat this week and doing a stonking job out on track at the moment. Now, what about that Miller guy? I don't think that first sector is to be believed, is it? Surely, as he's now making his way up towards turn 3. Great first sector, actually, from Miller. 2 tenths of a second, nearly 3 tenths of a second up on his previous best time. What's Peter Miller got for us here as he comes into the second sector? Down this very... good overtaking spot really on the back straight. Lots of top speed really found, but miles wide of the apex there at turn 4, and doesn't really make use of the track on the exit as well. I think still trail braking into the corner. Ended up screwing himself on the entrance. Turn 6, a little bit more committed. 6th gear we're seeing there for Peter. He's 6 tenths of a second up though on his previous best lap time, so maybe that turn 4 wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Anyway, coming down the hill now, barreling it in, using all the exit curb and then swinging it right. That looked like it was committed. Oh, that was a bit wide of the apex there at turn 10. As such, he gets a snap of oversteer, but it's still going to be an improvement on his previous best time. It's an improvement good enough for P2. You can't help but feel with that last corner lined up, it would have been good enough for P1, but even still, Brandon Lodeman holds on to his first place at the moment as Robbie Bell also crossed the line just before Peter Miller there with a 104.352. So this is looking like a very good qualifying session so far. Lots of times very competitive. Ryan Crowhurst, though, is looking like he might smash this one out of the park on this lap. Nearly 2 tenths of a second up through the second sector. He just needs to get this third sector nailed. Really nice. Tidy on the apex of turn 9. And again on turn 10. Trying to stretch the track limits on the exit, but not too much that it cares. And there it is from Ryan Crowhurst. A 104.086. That's the lap time that they're all going to have to hunt now. The Alfa Romeos are on form today. That is a stonking lap from Ryan. What about Jono, though? I imagine he's not really done too much practice inside of this, well, for this race. Been on the LMP2 grind for Le Mans next week, but still, Jono, has he got anything in this Alpha Tauri? This game weirdly enjoyable to him, he said in a previous chat. Also, if you didn't believe me, you can even read his review. It's up on Gfinity at the moment. Anyway, turn 5 looks tidy, but turn 6, this is where you can lose a lot of time or bring a lot of time back to your lap here. Really nice work in turn 6, but this lap is going nowhere. 2.5 seconds off his previous best. think he must be trying to save the battery a little bit or something. Maybe there was a mistake made up in the first sector that I didn't quite catch. But even still, this lap time isn't going to be troubling anything here for Nicholson as far as I can see. Unless it was a lie. No, it wasn't a lie. Okay, perfect. Zenik, unfortunately, invalidated his lap. I'm guessing starting his flying lap now. He really needs to get a time on the board here. He needs to get a competitive time on the board here as well. Because at the moment, he's not set a lap time. He's starting down in 15th place, last on the grid. Let's see if Zenik, Leon, has anything to go with. Leon James, previously one of the better qualifiers in TOTL in his short time with us. But this time, this season, the Summer Sprint season here, not really got the same gusto that he once had back in Season 6 and the end of the Spring Sprint. So we'll see whether Zenik can pull the wool over the eyes of the guys in front of him here and displace some of these top runners that are all currently having some good times in these opening lap times of qualifying. 5 minutes to go here in this short qualifying session. 18 minutes overall. It's a good second sector there from Zenik. It flashed up purple on the minimap, but that's not always to be believed. So just hold your horses here as we'll see what his time is going to be as he rounds turn 9 into turn 10. That's a lap time from Jono, by the way. The lap time he was doing before clearly wasn't pushing because now he's pushed on for a 104.1. And now this time from Zenik is going to put him up into P8. This is close lap times here from everybody out on track at the moment. There it is, though. There is your championship leader laying down the gauntlet in his penultimate run here. Bilal Khan comes out with the 103s. He's finally got that last sector together, and he's demonstrated the pace that he really has been holding this entire time. So that is the benchmark for everybody now to chase. Joshua Johnston invalidated his lap, unfortunately, when 0.2 of a second up. That would have been good enough to put him up one place. So realistically needed to find a little bit more time than just this bit. Anyway, into the pit lane for Josh. Miller starting his lap, but has massively invalidated turn 1, it would seem. So he's going to be taking this one very slowly to get these soft tyres around again for a decent run. If he has another set, he might be worth just speeding it straight into the pit lane, to be honest. We shall see. But with 3... Oh, hello, Peter. That was not the racing line that you wanted there. Those soft tyres are going to be covered in grass now. You're going to have to work a little bit harder to get them all cleaned up. So, Peter Miller now starts what will be his final flying lap here in this short qualifying session. This is going to determine where he goes on the grid and where he's going to be having a good time in this race or not. He might be caught up in the pack in what is always the origin, really, of Turn 1 turmoil here in TOTL. As Miller is just 1/10 of a second off his previous best first sector. Maybe that's the grip of these tyres just not quite being with him as he goes through the first corner. Even still, up now towards turn 4. Has he got any more time in this lap? Turn 4 last time around when he came through here was a little bit scrappy, but this time looks like he's got it much more smooth out as now into turn 6. Same again. Got to make sure the car is planted and smooth. You had a spin there on your outlap and you've invalidated there on your flyer. It was going to be a little bit far off the pace anyway for Miller, but nonetheless, solid attempt. Loadsy not pushing on here on his outlap, or his go lap at least. So I'm guessing got turn 1 a little bit wrong and decided not to go for it. But we got outlaps coming out across the board here for most people out on track. 2, 3 drivers still in the pit lane. EOJ, Khan, and Rai Crow. I think Crow is just leaving the pit lane now. But these two, I mean, Khan and EOJ leaving it a little bit late here on their final runs in qualifying. No movement in the pit lane either. Doesn't look like they're particularly eager to get out. Oh, EOJ is, but Khan is not. And if he doesn't get out of the pits soon, he won't be able to set a lap. I think we're pretty much past that point now. So he's set down a 103.842 as the time for everybody to beat. And that will be the benchmark. Let's see if anybody has it in them to beat that time. Here we go then. Final runs of qualifying. Let's hop on with... Who is that crossing the finish line? I think that's probably Randall. So we won't hop on with Randall. We'll hop on with Loadsy. Let's see what Brandon Loadsman has to give us here. As he started this session out strong, was previously the man on top for the first 2 runs, but had been usurped by his teammate, been usurped by Khan, and been usurped by Jono. Let's see whether Loadsy has anything in the tank here. 8 thousandths of a second up on his previous best time through that first sector. Let's see, the traction looks all right there through turn 3. And now down this very, very long, realistically for a back straight that is, in towards turn 4. Got to get the car tucked to the apex here. Even takes a bit of curb on the inside. Gets the car out the corner nicely through the long radius kink of turn 5 into now turn 6. Throws the car left. Keeps it nice and tight to the apex. Runs it wide on the exit. Really tidy stuff, but he's still not improving on his time. He's 500ths of a second over what was his previous best lap. Let's see whether he's got anything in the tank for the final sector here. As now he throws the car right, all up on the curb. Looks quick here from Loadman as he now tries and throws the car in through turn 10. All the risk there on the exit. Kept it really fine and improves by only 300ths of a second. It's not going to be enough as Zenit comes through with a really good lap time to put him P3. Ryan Crowhurst, where are you at? I didn't see if your first split was up or not. It looks like the second split is mighty quick though here from Ryan. Let's see whether this final sector has any magic left in it for the Season 3 champion. Let's see as he throws the car through turn 9, keeps that foot pinned to the floor, again through turn 10, squirming on the exit as he drives to the line. It is not going to be enough to dislodge Bilal Khan. It's 6 thousandths of a second for Ryan Crowhurst at the top of the field. Edsters comes home to improve by 0.3 of a second into P7, and that will be that. What a thrilling end to qualifying. Just didn't have enough in that final sector to cripple down the lead that Khan had over the rest of the field. Just 6 thousandths of a second shy, and EOJ actually managed to break into the 103s to get into the 3rd place heading up that second row. What an eventful qualifying we had here. Everybody up to P13, separated by just over a second. What a great quali. It's also good to see that Randall is finding some form now in this season as well. As fast as Robbie Bell throughout the course of that qualifying with a 104.4. That is some solid quali stuff, but you get to see more about the race. The race is going to be carnage, I'm sure, after this quick break. We'll see you on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. It is a wet, wet day here at the Red Bull Ring. Everybody looks to be on intermediates, I think, for the start of this Grand Prix, and we'll see who gets the launch off the line. It looks like Khan's actually got the whole shot down in towards turn 1. There's already rubbing towards the back of the field, the mid-pack there in P4 and 5, and that's a huge lunge from Jono. He sent him and EOJ both careening off the track there at turn 1, and that's a big old miss-braking opportunity, as that's already opened a gap up towards these guys at the front, but that's Zenik trying to swoop around the outside of everybody in towards turn 3. He's done exactly that. There's an Aston Martin that's just completely misjudged their braking zone. Huge car park in towards turn 3 at the back there, and that's Edsters who's come out worse for wear at the back of that one. Big gainers though, of course. Peter Miller up into P5 already. Always was a bit of a demon in the wet, to be fair to him. And looks like he's really trying to take advantage of that here as well. But you got to remember, there's going to be no DRS for these opening laps while it is hammering it down. And these guys are starting on wet tyres. These are the critical laps to try and build your gaps if it does dry up. Because once DRS gets reactivated, there are 3 DRS zones here at the Red Bull Ring at Spielberg. This is going to be one of those, and it's a huge snap of oversteer coming out of turn 8 from Zennik there, which allows EOJ and the Alpine to just slot back on by. Are really wide on the exit of turn 9 again there from Zennik. Track limits, by the way, going to be a huge worry for these guys throughout the course of this race, so keep your eyes on it. Keep your eyes on the penalties. We've got a bit of a battle going on back here in P10 too. It's 3 abreast actually down the main straight from what I can see. And in towards the braking zone at turn 1, it's going to be AJ trying to swoop around the outside of the pair of the Aston Martins, and he has done so. Great work from AJ there after a pretty poor qualifying. He's really made it work off the start. But anyway, old teammates, old rivals, taking for blow into turn 3. Zennik got it wrong again out of turn 1. He's let Peter Miller and now looking to be Johnny Nicholson and Robbie Bell by, as they are looking to harass Zennik as he keeps making a few mistakes here under traction in the wet. Up the inside of Robbie Bell goes Johnny, and then up the inside of Zennik goes Jono as well, looking to try and really push on. That's a huge slide there for Robbie on the exit of turn 4. He's going to look to try and correct it through 5 and 6. But Zennik is losing time hand over fist here. Got a great start, had a huge opportunity to try and claw back some time, but seems to have scuffed it up a little bit. Not comfortable driving in the wet at this stage in the race. Doesn't quite know what his limit is here on his right foot by the looks of things. Just losing it under traction constantly and not quite having the same speed that I think he would want to have. Anyway, up the front, it looks like Khan and Ryan are just pushing away once again. These guys now up to a 4-second lead over EOJ. The rest of the field is hungrily trying to get by behind, but it is difficult going here at the Red Bull Ring. It looks like Miller up in behind EOJ is very eager to try and get on by. Going to try and outbrake him in towards turn 3, but slots back in just behind. We'll see what is looking like on the ERS. Actually tries the cutback, squares him off. And now going to try and get the better traction on EOJ down this straight in towards turn 4. Using the battery to try and level him alongside so he can get by in the braking zone. And it looks like Peter Miller has done exactly that. Up front though, Khan seems to have managed to pull a gap on Ryan already. Bilal just pushing the envelope of what's possible here on these intermediate tyres in these treacherous conditions, and is getting ahead very, very nicely. Looks like it was a bit slidey from the rear of Peter Miller there, but managed to keep the car in gently through turn 7 and 8. Now he can get his foot down, but got to be careful about how he goes about turn 9 here. Reminder, drivers need to stay to the inside of turn 9 if they are going to be pitting. We are penalising for pit entry here, as I mentioned in the chat earlier. So, let's see how this race is going to unfold now. We've got a lot of drivers actually within a second of one another, all the way back to Rasta down in P11. Big loser out at the start of this race, though, is undoubtedly Brandon Lodeman. Had a great qualifying, was looking really promising, but so far this has not translated into race pace here. I guess maybe not a lot of wet weather practice on the wheel. Just really trying to stick it to the man here and try and keep up with these guys. Have to fight back through the field. It's good practice at the very least, but EOJ has managed to get back by Peter Miller up the front. And that's going to provide opportunities now for EOJ to try and hunt down Crowhurst up ahead. Crowhurst has lost heaps of time to Carnosaur. Bilal Khan over this lap. It was 1.2 seconds. It's now 2.6 seconds. I think we've actually just lost Joshua Johnston. I don't know what's happened there, but he is around and has lost his front wing end plate on the exit of turn 4. EOJ has got a 3-second time penalty already for multiple warnings. It looks like AJ also has been involved in some kind of accident because he has been ghosted there too. Lost the car on the exit maybe. But either way, that 3-second penalty so early on, just 5 laps into this race for EOJ, is not going to help him or his race in any way, shape or form. Good news for Robbie Bell further back for you Red Bull fans is that he has got past Zennik in the Mercedes. And now whether he has the pace to try and catch back up to the rear of Jono is a different story. But Peter Miller's going for it again. Up the inside into turn 3 this time. Not going to wait until turn 4. But again, just doesn't want to make the move straight away. And instead will wait until the exit of turn 4 to now try, or to the entrance to turn 4 to try and make this move stick. But it seems to me that Peter Miller doesn't quite have the pace here under traction. It seems to me that EOJ is just getting the better of him again under braking there as well. Miller a little bit wide in the apex of the corner. Loadsy's managed to slot it past Randall a bit further back and now has still a heap of work to do. Thankfully for him, though, all the drivers that are ahead of him are still relatively close up until the podium positions in P3. Hugely squirrely on the exit there for the Alpine ahead. EOJ getting it all kinds of wrong on the curb, and that is not what you want to see at all from a guy running in a comfortable P3 at the moment. There is backmarker Burnsy already in the way here at lap 6. 33 seconds behind Joshua Johnson, who is a further 29 seconds back at the rest of the field. So, not going to be ideal here as Peter Miller pulls to the outside of turn 3 this time. He's tried the inside a few too many times and it hasn't worked. He goes for the cutback though, and that cutback has worked brilliantly, but again, can't get the traction out of turn 3. Gets the rears too spun up, and EOJ really able to capitalize. He's going to go again, levels him into the braking zone, and oh, it's a bit of a touch and towards turn 4. They make contact and now pushes him out onto the exit curb at turn 4. That's going to allow Peter Miller back on through, but it is a 6-second deficit that he has to make up towards Ryan Crowhurst in P2. These two, Crow and Khan, have been making pretty good of each other all season long, but again, this time Khan really showing his class. Is going to need a safety car to bring this race back to a losable position for him, and safety cars, of course, are turned on. There is always a chance of a safety car in this race. There's also a chance of a red flag. Also a chance of the weather drying up dramatically and somebody making the right strategy call. I don't have any insight as to what the weather is going to be here. We're only 7 laps in, so it could change so very much. Miller's kept its lead now in towards turn 3 this lap, and I think he's recognised that the wider line in towards turn 3, where you're closer to the exit curb, is actually the better one. It allows you to get the traction a little bit better because the track doesn't fall away from you. Speaking of track falling away, Johnny goes for the move in towards turn 4. I think outjudges his braking zone, and as such, it's an easy switchback for EOJ on the exit, but that won't have helped either of them. That's going to bring Robbie Bell back into the mix just a little bit. He catches a whiff of these guys ahead fighting, and he's going to be like a shark with blood in the water. Going to be all over it like a rash. We'll see now whether he can actually bridge that gap or not, or whether these guys ahead do just have a little bit too much pace. Jono looking really mercurial in towards turn 9. Really eager to try and find a way by here. But nothing happening, it would seem. I think Loadsy has made a mistake of some sort. He is very far back and dropping. As now Jono, oh, has he tagged the rear there of EOJ and caused himself to nearly go into a side spin? It looked like he had, but he's managed to collect the car up pretty nicely. Great hands there from Jono, as he had full opposite lock on through the through turn 1 there and managed to keep the car on the black stuff. Didn't even exceed track limits. As I say that though, does exactly that. I don't know whether he had a helping hand from Robbie Bell, but even still, he's come in and he's gone up the inside now. Ahead before the braking zone at turn 4. Jono has heaps of battery yet to use and is very confident on the brakes as he comes from so far back. Daniel Ricciardo-esque in the Daniel Ricciardo AlphaTauri, and now they're going to continue this battle all through turn 6, 7 and 8. Round the outside, enough space has been left, and Robbie Bell just doesn't have the grip on the inside line there. There just isn't enough. Water still all over that area of the track, but Jono gets it all wrong on the exit of turn 8. Huge snap of oversteer, and now it's going to leave him vulnerable to Adam Lockett, who's looking in towards turn 9. That would be a crazy move, but thankfully for Jono, Vaser thinks better of it. In towards turn 10 now, no move happening, but that was a very scrappy lap from Bell and Jono. It's given EOJ a huge gap to try and pull away from these guys now. 1.7 seconds, and he's got the pace to try and keep that gap there. It's a bit squiggly on the exit for both the AlphaTauri and the Red Bull. Red Bull got it wrong under braking, it seems, but the AlphaTauri got it wrong on the exit. And now the run up towards turn 3. It is Adam Lockett pinning it up the outside. But the inside line, of course, goes to Jono. A big slide up the inside. But again, the exit not good on that inside line. We've seen it with Peter Miller on the last couple of times round this track. That inside line provides no traction. And Fazer manages to make the move stick. There we have it. Fazer's going to set his sights on Robbie Bell up ahead. And we'll see whether he has anything to go for. Of course, Rob's been a very consistent driver. Never really been one to look out for in the wet weather conditions, to be fair. Always been a bit better in the dry. But a lot of drivers are like that, so it's no discredit to him. He has been a championship protagonist before in seasons with plenty of wet races. So let's see whether he can come home with some at least decent and respectable points here today. P5 at the moment. He will inherit P4, but I'm sure he'd love nothing more than to get a podium here at the Red Bull Ring. I don't know whether the rain is slowing down, but it certainly doesn't look quite as heavy as it did on the opening lap. It is still falling, though, here, as Zenik is going to be our second victim to pick up a 3-second time penalty. Turn 5 and turn 6 here for this little trio. They followed in each other's wheel tracks for a lap or two now. I think the motive here is that Fazer doesn't quite have the pace to run up to the back of Robbie Bell right now. And Robbie Bell is really hunting EOJ down on this lap. It has been a big push lap here from the Red Bull driver. And, well, Joseph up front is going to be a little bit worried that he sees that gap diminishing over the course of the next few laps. He built it up to 1.7 seconds. It's gone down by half a second in this lap alone. Let's see whether it continues to fall. As Robs continues on this charge. Johnny, again, on the exit of turn 1, gets it all sideways. Just a little bit too eager on this throttle, but here it comes, actually. Here's the move around the outside. He's trying to do exactly what he did to Johnny. Adam Lockett trying to go around the outside of Robbie Bell. He's got it very, very wide on the exit, but so has EOJ out front. Now it's going to be a drag race. No battery remaining here for Fazer. Meanwhile, Robs has plenty to use, and he will get ahead as he heads in towards turn 4. I don't think Fazer's going to give it up that easily. These two still side by side. Fazer surely going to have to try and give this one up on the exit. He just doesn't have the battery to fight Robs with here. And if he tries and slots it up into turn 6 when he's just that far back, it's not going to work, so concedes the position. Now just has to try and sit patiently in behind to make sure that they can have a chance at recharging that battery a little bit there for Adam. He's really just going to need to wait patiently. If he can, then he'll be in a great spot because he might be able to just get a little bit back on Robs and potentially have another crack at him. It's wet conditions, of course, so that ERS will recharge more quickly. There's a yellow flag out in Sector 3, though, and there it is. There is the safety car. That's going to neutralise this race massively, as Khan's 8-second lead up front is gone. Miller's 8-second lead to the pack behind is gone. Just like that, this race's complexion changes massively. 12 laps into this 36-lap race. We are a third of the race distance through. We have our first safety car. Everybody must slow down to their delta, 40% of racing speed. Then we'll be stuck behind the safety car for probably about 2-3 laps. Loadsy has gone into the pit lane. He's changed onto another fresh set of intermediates, hoping it'll give him some more grip. The same true for Randall here as well. We'll see what the race leader, Bilal Khan, elects to do. Whether he wants to go onto a fresh set of intermediates now and try and hang those out to the end of the race. He's not going to. He's going to go straight into the pit lane. What tyre is he going to put on? Is it going to dry up by the end of this safety car period? I doubt it. Rain's still falling as the safety car comes out of the pit lane. So I imagine this is going to be another set of intermediate tyres for your championship leader. And it will be. I imagine the same story also true here for Ryan Crowhurst in behind. Another set of inters. Same for Miller. EOJ in the pit lane. Robbie Bell in the pit lane. Phaser staying out. Jono in the pit lane. Rasta staying out. Zenik in the pit lane as well. So both Alfa Romeos have made the decision to stay out. You can't help but think it would have been at least a little bit lucrative for one of those guys to go into the pit lane rather than that. Is that a Red Bull on hard tyres? That's Robbie Bell. He's come out of the pits on hard tyres. What gamble is this? Is this a mistake? Or is this a gamble here from Robs? Hoping that it's going to dry up before the safety car comes in and he gets a pit stop lead on everybody. I can't see this being a good strategy call at all from Robs. The rain is still falling. Everybody else has gone on to another set of intermediate tyres. I'd imagine... Oh, this is rough. I'd imagine that tells you pretty much all you need to know about where this track is at and where it's going to be at for the next few laps. If everybody's come in for new inters, you got to imagine that these hard tyres were not the right call at all. Either a mistake or an ambitious strategy call. He's even getting it all kinds of twisted on the outlap here. He might even lose time to the safety car. This is going to be really, really tough. Keep the car on the black stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him come straight back into the pit lane here. Get a set of intermediates, because this can't be right. He's sticking with it. This is a strategy call from Robs. So it must be drying up at some point throughout this race. And he's hoping now to just not lose enough time on these hard tyres that he ends up gaining a pit stop over the rest of the field. But he's going to have to drive this car so carefully because Jono behind him is just going to sail by. He can't even risk warming up his tyres because these slick hards will have no grip whatsoever. The rain is still hammering down here at Spielberg. There's no way this is going to be a bright idea for Robs. Surely not. We'll have to see whether the weather relents here and grants Robs an opportunity to find a race leading position, but I just can't see a world in which this is going to work. I really can't. The rain needs to stop now, basically, and the track needs to dry out in the next 3 laps for this strategy to not lose him a pit stop's worth of time. The rain isn't stopping, and the track isn't drying. There are no blue skies on this circuit at the moment. There's going to be no grip when it comes to full racing speed here either for Robs. This is either going to be the strategy call of the century, or it's going to be a true Ferrari disaster class. The only 2 ways this one can go. And I have a feeling that it is going to be the latter of the 2 here. I have a feeling this is going to be a Ferrari disaster class. Well, let's see whether this works or not. Funnily enough, for Robs, it might pay out. The rain has stopped. The rain has stopped. Which means from this moment forth, the track can start drying. The safety car will be in this lap, so I think Robs might have just wanted that safety car to be out for 1 more lap. Just 1 more lap, and he might have been safe here. Whatever he does, he cannot lose that much time. He cannot lose 20 seconds. If he loses 20 seconds, starts getting overtaken at a rate of knots, and falls backwards by over 20 seconds, this is his race run. This mistake could cost him. But the rain has stopped. It has stopped here. Has Robbie Bell made the call of the century? Has he just made one of the best strategy decisions in TOTL history? Or is it going to come back to bite him? As we'll soon find out as the race lead gets underway. Khan pulls the field off at the front as now Ryan Crowe sets his sights on him in hot pursuit. Fazer also looking to try and crack on with him here as he's tried to go for track position on these 15-lap old intermediate tyres. We'll see whether it pays off for him and his teammate Jay Rasta as they barrel towards the front of the field here. Rob's yet to be losing too much time. The track mustn't be too wet yet, but we'll see how he goes under braking. Khan has made up the space up ahead. Now, Rob's into the braking zone. Is he going to get it all wrong? Front tyre locks up, but it seems to have got the car tied into the apex nicely. Is this the right call here from Rob's? On the hard tyres, is this going to be something absolutely masterful? Is this a trust me bro kind of moment, as Josh says in the chat? Miller, anyway, you put in those new intermediates to task as he flies up the inside there of the old intermediates of Jay Rasta, looking to try and claim his podium position back from the two Aston Martin drivers ahead. We'll see whether it pays out, because this track is going to be drying, and with all these drivers lapping on intermediate tyres, it's going to be drying quickly. As soon as we see that DRS be reactivated, we'll know that it's time for Robs to just fly at these guys ahead of him. Anyway, for now, Miller looks like he's got so much more grip than these guys ahead of him, than Fazer at least ahead of him. On those old burnt-out intermediates, Khan with a 1:10.9. We're 4 seconds down on what the previous best lap times were on this race. Now, Miller up in towards turn 1, wasting no time. Oh, big cut on the inside of turn 1. That's not going to help his exit. He'd have bottomed out over that curb, and that won't have helped him at all. He cannot let Ryan and Khan get away here as he tries and goes up the inside into turn 3. Remember about the traction here, Khan. This is where, sorry, Miller, this is where you're going to need it. As now up the inside again, EOJ's looking at Jay Rasta. No problems this time for Miller, and no problems this time for EOJ. Traction is becoming easier and easier to find with every lap that this track dries out. Rob still sits in 7th place. Jono has gone down a position as Loadsy has mugged him. A huge snap on the exit of turn 4 for Miller. But this is looking like, potentially here, the masterclass has been done by Robbie Bell. Has this been a race-winning strategy? Has it been the race-winning strategy? Has it been the strategy of TOTL history? I've not seen anybody pull this off before in 6, nearly 7 seasons total of racing, with the spring sprint and now this summer sprint included. Ryan Crowhurst has dove into the pit lane. Miller is diving into the pit lane. He's all over the curb. 5-second penalty for Ryan for speeding in the pit lane. Not going to happen to Peter Miller here. Everybody is coming into the pits now. Khan is not coming into the pits. This track is drying rapidly. Loadsy up ahead has not gone into the pits either. But that is going to be him. Oh, sorry, he's gone into the pits. Has he spun? What's gone on? He's spun. Loadsy spun. He's gone into the wall. He's lost his front wing. And that is that for Brandon Loadman's race. After a great qualifying, it looked promising that he'd find some form again. But that is not it. The man who has benefited massively has just been hit by EOJ. There's a safety car. Robbie Bell has just received a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Brandon Loadman's spin has just lay waste to the best strategy call I have seen in TOTL. It has all been undone. He has received a drive-through for speeding under the safety car. He nearly hits EOJ. Khan has inherited the earth by staying out on these intermediate tyres. And Robs has to take a drive-through. Don't try and take it now, Robs. Robs, don't try and take it now. You can't take it under safety car. You can't take it under safety car, Robs. You can't take it under safety car. Robs, what are you doing? You're throwing it away. What is he doing? Coming in for mediums? I guess, why not? But you can't take your drive-through under a safety car. And I don't know whether he's realised that and accidentally put on mediums that he didn't want to put on here. Oh dear. Well, anyway, it looks to me like Khan still massively holds the race lead. What looked to be a great call from Ryan Crowhurst as well down in P2. to go into the pits when his rival Khan did not. Has ended up playing out not really in his favour. Let's have a look at the penalty situation. It's 5 seconds for Ryan Crowhurst. 3 seconds for EOJ. A drive-through for Robbie Bell. So I think that pretty much lays waste to a race win here for Ryan Crowhurst and for Robbie Bell, unfortunately. He played his cards so right. And then out comes the safety car, caused by Brandon Lodeman, spinning it at turn 1, losing his front wing, and not being able to get back on track quickly enough. So, safety car now. Surely going to be wrapping itself up in the next few laps, but that is one of those ones that's just not very fun. I feel so bad for Robs. I really do. My guy had a race-winning strategy. Later rest by a safety car. That he's picked up a drive-through penalty on. Gone and put some other tyres on. And is going to come out probably about 10-15 seconds behind the rest of the field when he takes this drive-through penalty. And Khan, anyway, has decided to pull the pin. He's gone. Up the front of the field, he has flown away. And he's caught Ryan napping as well by the looks of things. Admittedly, Ryan behind has also caught EOJ napping, so that's good for him to try and get the 2-second buffer he needs to hold on to P2 here over that 3-second penalty that EOJ also has. Anyway, Robbie Bell in P4 is got to try and make something of this now for the fact that he's got this drive-through penalty he's got to serve. Now, he's going to try and get up the inside in towards turn 3. He's a bit far back and rather wisely, oh, never mind, I said rather wisely holds it and doesn't do anything with it, but taps into the back of EOJ on the exit, and that leaves him now vulnerable to the impending doom that is Peter Miller on these medium tyres. He's going to be on the faster compound, and around Austria, these tyres don't really degrade as quickly as you would have thought they do. You can make it quite some time on these tyres, and they will be the faster compound throughout the course of this race. So if he can clear these two drivers ahead of him, there is a real chance that Miller might be able to put the hammer down and get to the back of some of these drivers up ahead who are on the hard tyres, to the likes of the EOJs, the Ryan Crowhurst, and even the Bilal Khans of the world, if he can try and get past Robbie Bell as fast as possible. Robbie still not diving into the pits to serve that drive-through penalty, but still, Khan laying down the gauntlet, 106.5. That's 4 seconds quicker still than we were lapping on the intermediates, as this has now got to be Peter Miller's chance to try and win this race. You can have a look at the penalty situation there on the left-hand side of your screen at the timing tower. Drive-through penalty for Robbie Bell, who's just about to try and make a move on EOJ. He's gone up the outside with the assistance of the ERS, and he's now just flown past into the braking zone at turn 3. Bit squirrely on the exit there for EOJ, but so was Peter Miller, so it won't be an opportunity for Miller to try and make his way by. In fact, it looks like Phaser almost might be looking to try and have a nosy up the inside of that Haas car in the laps to come. Speaking of that, Jono sliding up the inside of Zenik in towards turn 4. I think maybe defending his position might be a more apt description, as he had already got by. But we're in dry conditions now around a track that Johnny has had success at before. Let's see whether he can find his mojo around this lap, and let's see whether he can use these next 14 laps and all of his racing experience to bring the Season 2 champ into a race-winning or at least podiuming position. I think that's going to be Robbie Bell into the pit lane to serve his drive-through penalty, as Bilal Khan sets another fastest lap of the race, really trying to stretch that advantage over Ryan Crowhurst up ahead. Anyway, Miller still furiously hunting away. DRS activated this time. The first time we're going to have DRS all race. And there goes Miller with the DRS up the straight and going to be ahead before the braking zone, but not ahead enough that he can take the line over. Just parks his car right where EOJ wants to be on the apex of the corner. But now with DRS again for the Alpine Alpine's going to make a resurgence, a re-aggression down the outside at turn 4. Miller tries and hangs his nose in, but I don't think he was really entitled to the space there. He was behind. Either way, EOJ has left it for him, and now in towards turn 6, these two can't help but being side by side. Miller looking really dangerous in the rear view of the Alpine, but just can't make the move stick here, as he needs to try and put a gap between himself and this Alpine ahead. Zenik making moves as Jono, I think, has had an accident or some kind of incident further back. He's been pushed round maybe at the exit of turn 7. Either way, back to the guys at the front. Miller still hunts the back of EOJ. DRS active down the front straight. Gonna have to try and get some battery back. Gonna want to lift off a little bit early here to make sure he doesn't run into the back of EOJ, but got a really good exit on the way of turn 1 there, and now looks to try and put the power down to get up the inside maybe in towards turn 3. He's going to go for it again, but doesn't want to be ahead before the DRS detection zone, and isn't this time. Backs off early before it, and strategically will get himself the DRS now down in towards turn 4. You can see how difficult it is to find the traction when you're on the inside, but on the outside he's going to make it work. EOJ hopeless to defend against it with the DRS and ERS activated. And now that leaves Peter Miller unleashed through this second sector to use those medium tyres to try and pull a gap on the hard tyre runner behind and just give himself that buffer that he desperately needs in order to hold this podium place and potentially look to hunt down these two guys out front. He will inherit P2 at the moment, as that 5-second penalty is going to demote Ryan Crowhurst at the present down to potentially as far as P6 if he can't continue to put some more daylight between himself and the rest of the grid behind. For the moment, though, it looks very, very comfortable for Bilal Khan up front, and not so comfortable, I'm afraid, for Robbie Bell out back. 12th as he comes out of his drive-through penalty. 4.8 seconds back of the rest of the field, who is just AJ, really. Excuse me, who is a further 3.3 seconds back. Anyway, now we're in dry conditions. It might look like Loadsy has a little bit of fight left in him here. He's got DRS, thankfully, from Zenik ahead to defend against Randall, trying to make any re-aggression on him. And that should mean that we have something to go off here. That's a yellow flag in Sector 3. I don't know what happened with Johnny there. He's off track at turn 10, but I think has retired from the session, unfortunately. Meikle, welcome to the stream, my boy. Peter Miller is starting to eat away at the gap ahead, but not by that much. He's still having to defend a bit from EOJ, I feel. As that AJ, who's had a spin, lost his front wing again for the second time this race. That's another safety car. 5-second penalty will be served in the pit lane here by Ryan Crowhurst. This could help him out a bit. Really not taking any chances on that pit entry, is he? Really slow on the entrance to the pit entry there. That will have cost him a lot of time. Fazer has stayed out on these mediums. He's going to take track position. It's going to be fresh tyres for everybody else. It's soft tyres for Khan. He's going to try and make these soft tyres last 10 laps. Interesting. Ryan Crowhurst goes onto the mediums. He's lost a lot of places with that 5-second penalty being served. Zenik goes onto the mediums. Robbie Bell stays out on track to try and make up that track position yet again. Loadsy and Randall both stay out on track as well. Bell actually will inherit P5. P6 goes to Miller. And Ryan Crowhurst, with that pit entry and the 5-second penalty in the pit lane, has lost so much ground here. He's going to have to really hustle for the last 10 laps of this race. The safety car is going to be out for about 2 or 3 laps. So maybe soft tyres could be the play here, especially when you are Bilal Khan and you have the pace that you do. You've got to get past people ahead of you who are, I hate to say it, definitely slower than you are. and especially on soft tyres, fresh soft tyres no less, you should be flying. So another safety car means another bit of silence from me. What is there to even say? The safety car is out. So, safety car in this lap then. A very short safety car here, actually. That plays into the hands of everybody sat on the medium tyres here. It definitely doesn't play into Khan's hands. He's got to make these soft tyres really optimally work for 9 laps. That's going to be a tough task, but if anybody I have faith in to do it, it will be Bilal Khan, of course. One person to keep your eye on, Ryan Crowhurst, showing that he has a lot of pace this race. Not as much as Khan, but hopefully enough to pull his way through the field from that 5-second penalty he served in the pit lane. Oh, Khan's going to be way ahead before the start-finish straight, but it's not going to matter. He's going to get right away ahead of Randall, but has to concede position because it's an illegal overtake. Now going to have to try and get him on the exit of turn 1, but he's actually under threat from behind. Miller and Robbie Bell are both looking at the McLaren as they break in towards turn 3. It's a huge lunge from Khan, but on the soft tyres, just has that superior braking performance. And now Miller and Robbie are both going to have to try and get by Randall on this straight. They do not want to be held up as this soft tyre threat gets away from them both, and they both make their way by. Ryan trying to get by Zenik in the back of the picture. It's a huge squabble here as EOJ now looks to try and slide it by Randall. Randall is just losing positions hand over fist. His rhythm massively disrupted. Can't keep the car in a position that's going to be threatening for very long as now Ryan Crowhurst tries and makes it work on Randall. Hugely wide line. Taps back on the exit for Zenik and Joshua Johnston. Round the outside here for Ryan. Surely no way. As he is going to swoop around the outside. Oh, it's going to cause him a 3-second time penalty. Unfortunately, had nowhere else to go. And that's going to be a track limits violation for Ryan Crowhurst. That could lay waste to his race winning chances as well. Meanwhile, up front, Khan has got ahead of Fazer and now setting his sights eagerly on Brandon Lodeman. Randall's gone for a spin. He's around at turn 1, unfortunately. I think he's been caught up with Zenik there as well, as now Lodesy has a lot of defensive work to do. It'll be absolutely stellar for him and his teammate specifically if he can try and hold up Khan as best he can. Khan not going to be using the battery, just going to sit in the slipstream, knows he's going to have the better braking performance and the better grip. Around the outside at turn 4, they touch, they make contact, and it spins Lodesy round. He's in the wall again for the second time this race, and he's lost his front wing for the second time this race. That is a disaster. It's a retirement from the session, and surely not. That better not be another safety car. It's a yellow flag still in Sector 2, but it doesn't look like the safety car is going to be called out. That could be a penalty there from Khan, depending on how that looks from Lodesy's point of view. So let's keep an eye on how this one looks at the end of the race. That is just a little bit too close for comfort. DRS now enabled as Miller
Tries and fires it up the inside, but thinks better of it in towards turn 1. Doesn't want to try and go past Fazer just yet. Wants to use the DRS here up towards turn 3 to try and slide his way by the Aston Martin and give no chance at a recovery down the straight in towards turn 4. There will be DRS, of course, but it's about the exit now for Miller, and Fazer is on 12-lap-old mediums compared to these 4-lap-old fresh mediums for Peter Miller. He's 2 seconds adrift of Khan, but he smells a race win here. Those soft tyres have got a limited working window, and these mediums will be working for much, much longer. It's just a question as to how much longer. As Joshua Johnson fires a move up on Ryan Crowhurst, they're going to be side by side. Great exit for Crowhurst, though, through turn 5, and he's going to have the position seeded in towards turn 6. Great recovery so far from your Season 3 champion. Can he now try and make this into a podium position? He needs to put some daylight between himself and Fazer if he wants to do so with that 3-second time penalty. But so far, he's looking mighty quick. He's already pulling a gap on Joshua Johnston behind. Needs to get that DRS, though, before turn 3. Sorry, before turn 2 of... I don't even know what I'm saying. Before turn 1. Christ almighty. On... Fazer to try and have a chance at getting up to the back of him, and he is going to have that by the detection zone here. So there we go. DRS should be activated here for Ryan Crowhurst. He should be barreling up to the back of Adam Lockett up ahead. Good friends, these two, off the track, but let's see. Red light flashing for the Aston Martin up ahead. That should be an easy overtake now for Ryan Crowhurst to get himself in towards P3. No ERS here for the Aston Martin. The Alfa Romeo should have the superior straight line speed and the superior grip to go around the outside. We've seen this one just a lap ago with 2 different drivers. This time it's much, much cleaner as Ryan Crowhurst makes the move stick, leaves plenty of space for Adam Lockett to try and come back at him, but it's respectful racing, it's good racing, and now Ryan needs to set his sights on Peter Miller up ahead, who is losing time to Khan on those soft tyres. But is it going to continue to be that way? We have 5 laps of this Grand Prix left. It's soon to be 4, and Ryan really needs to get the hammer down now. He's pulled 7/8 tenths of a second on Adam behind already. Going to have a second by the time he gets to turn 3, I'm sure, as now he sets his sights, of course, on Miller up ahead. He's going to have the DRS by the time that he gets into the braking zone at turn 1. That is perfect for Ryan Crowhurst. He should now be able to leap away from the Aston Martin behind and leap towards the Haas car. Up ahead is Joshua Johnston, looking to try and capitalise on a great position for constructors. Gets into P4, net P3 with penalties applied, might I remind you. Ryan didn't actually end up getting the DRS that he wanted up onto the back of Peter Miller there. And now, as such, he's still got work to do through this second sector. Joshua not going to let this one go behind as well. Johnston's been a good racer this season, just had a few unlucky results. And now he's looking really feisty for a good podium finish here. One of his first podium finishes, I think. I think he must have had one before, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. Robbie Bell, who started to stay out for track position, falling backwards through the pack. He's now back in P9. A heartbreak race for Robs in the Red Bull. As Eden still with this. Johnston still sticking to the back of Ryan Crowhurst's DRS as he kept it, though, throughout this lap. I don't think he has. DRS not open there for the McLaren. So that's going to be the end of that charge if he can't try and catch back up to the back of him. Ryan Crowhurst, though, is going to have DRS on Peter Miller. And we've seen these two go blow for blow plenty of times before in the past. And let's hope to see them do it again. Up towards turn 3, Ryan going to be very close in towards the braking zone behind Peter now as he's got to try and get the exit in towards turn 4 and build that gap. It's 5.3 seconds that Khan has been able to make to Miller behind, and that should give him the race win, as Miller not going to have much to fight this with, but still going to try and hang it up the inside. Plenty of room given, plenty of respect given. Ryan out on the curb and a safety car. Would you believe it at this point in the race? That's going to surely ruin Ryan Crowhurst's race. He had 2 seconds to the car behind. That 3 second... Oh! A drive-through penalty for Khan as he's got it on the final safety car that's possible in this race. He's going to have to take a drive-through with only 3 laps to go. 2 laps to go by the end of this safety car period. That's a disaster. That is an absolute disaster for Bilal Khan up front. Speeding under safety car. He's retired from the session, no less. That gives Miller an absolutely brilliant position to have a race win. It gives Ryan a great opportunity to close down this championship lead. This has thrown things wide open for the championship leader. He's made a mistake, the first crack in the armour. It's going to be a non-score for Khan. That is a disaster. He has commanded this race, start to finish. He has been the man to beat this season. And there is the first mistake. Whether it's a bug or mistake, I'm going to call it a mistake for now until we know for certain. But that is so heartbreaking for Khan. He will not get the clean sweep this season. He will be denied at the Red Bull Ring. That's so sad. If that is a Cody's problem, that's so sad. Safety car in immediately. EOJ, Randall and Robbie Bell all switching tyres. They are going to have to barrel up to the back of this group, and they might make huge progress, especially on the likes of these old tyre runners, Fazer, J. Raster and co. on the softs. This is going to be one hell of a restart. Ryan Crowhurst needing to build a massive gap here, or at least needing to gain as many positions as possible, hoping that people behind him scrap and fight for these remaining 9 positions. This is going to be a barn burner. Can the spring sprint champion, Peter Miller, find his mojo with no practice this week? Can he be a race winner again for what must be like the 14th or something time, just randomly off the top of my head? This must be one hell of a moment. Can Peter Miller find a race win in the summer sprint? He is a sprint masterclass, but up into turn 1, Ryan Crowhurst giving him grief. Over the curb, gets it nicely sorted. But again, Crowhurst not going to let sleeping dogs lie. Pretty much everybody behind him has a penalty of some description, so it's just going to be losing out to Joshua Johnston at present. So maybe this won't be as a disastrous race for Ryan as it initially could have turned out to be. If he can force Miller into a 3-second time penalty, that will be absolutely perfect as they're side by side down the back straight in towards turn 4. Here we go. Up the inside, the Alfa Romeo has the inside line, but Miller holds on with the grip at the outside. They make contact. It's bumping and grinding as they stay side by side. Flicks it back now through turn 6. Miller with the inside line. Crowhurst trying to cut it back, but Miller's kept it close on the exit. Turn 7, turn 8. These two still in each other's wheel tracks, leaving Johnston behind. A little bit of a gap now forming. Can it be a big enough gap for these guys to make a breakaway? DRS will surely be activated this time around. Will it actually? I don't even know. I don't even keep track of what lap we're on here. If it's going to be DRS, it's all going to be to play for as we cross the line in towards turn 1. It is no DRS to be activated here. These guys are going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. Robbie Bell on the soft tyres will get that point for fastest lap at the moment, but now in the slipstream, Ryan Crowhurst burning no battery actually. Miller is the one burning the battery up front. He's got 20% of the battery left, and yet Ryan Crowhurst is still pulling alongside into the braking zone. Inside line held, switchback made for Crowhurst as he dives up the inside, turns on the battery. He's got way more than Miller does. He will get P1 on track, but will he get P1 in the race with penalties applied? We'll soon have to find out, because here comes Johnston. He's gone up the inside of Peter Miller. It's carnage. He's been spun round. It's a crash, and that might give the race win to Ryan Crowhurst, if you can believe it. Ryan has managed to find something on this last lap. Peter Miller has been sabotaged by Joshua Johnston, who saw his name in lights. He saw the race win with that 3-second time penalty, but it hasn't come down to it. Ryan Crowhurst will round turn 9, round turn 10, and he will win the Austrian Grand Prix in a race filled with drama. It's going to be a P... Who's going to be P2? Robbie Bell! Robbie Bell is P2, with Miller taking home P3. Joshua Johnston manages to collect P4 after causing absolute pandemonium. What an absolutely bonkers final couple of laps. That is mental. TOTL at its finest. Carnage and turmoil everywhere you look. What a race. Round 5 does not disappoint. Oh boy, what a finish. That was class. I really enjoyed that. That was great. That was so great, and it's a race win for my brother from another mother, Ryan Crowhurst, the gift god himself. He's got home in P1. I don't know how he's done it, but he has, with the 3-second time penalty. In wet to dry conditions, 4 safety cars, strokes of luck everywhere, disaster at every twist and turn. It's going to be 25 points for the man from Cornwall. What a race. What a race. Robbie Bell comes home after a disastrous race in P2. Somehow penalties applied. He keeps his nose dry, gets the fastest lap, comes home in P2, 19 points. And Peter Miller, robbed of a race win, you feel, by Joshua Johnston. That is P3 for him, but there's got to be penalties to come for Johnston in that that turn 4 incident on lap 36. That was crazy. Anyway, what a race. We'll see you next time. Round 6, same time next week. You don't want to miss it. That was a banger. We'll see you then.
He's neck and neck with Lewis Hamilton. Vettel is alongside and ahead. Look at that! How's that? A colossally that's backside. Is the opportunity to say there's one Hamilton's going to try again. This time on the inside and comes to the touch. Oh my goodness, this is fantastic.
Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in